And then nowadays in Mahayana Buddhists like to practice liberation of animals. Also, that was not encouraged by the Buddha during the Buddha's time. Nobody practiced liberation of animals. Because I've been in Mahayana Buddhism for 9 years and I've seen a lot of liberation of animals. And I find it's not really practical. Because a lot of times, for example, birds, when they release the birds, they've been kept in the cages for so long, either they don't know how to fly, or I've seen sometimes they fly only about 10 feet. Some can fly higher. But there was one time when I was in Bunas, and somebody came and said the sister is dying of cancer, so she wants to she wants to liberate 3 pigeons. She brought 3 pigeons. So he wanted me to liberate, so I released the pigeons. One fell to the ground. Second one flew up about 10 feet. Third one flew up about 20 feet. So the one that fell to the ground, we had to catch it and put it in the cage. The next day, the one about 10 feet fell to the ground. Because I had no food to eat the whole day, so weak, fell to the ground. We saw the cat coming, quickly caught it, put it in the cage. The day after that, the one 20 feet up there fell to the ground. Because they have been in the cage so long, they don't know how to find food. There's a time also, some people, when I was living on Penang Hill in the cave, somebody brought pigeons also to release. And some flew, and some dare not fly out also, want to stay in the cage. They feel safer in the cage. And I've seen also when I was in America, they release a lot of birds. A few days later, we find the birds' feathers on the ground. Because there's a lot of eagles around. And these pigeons, they don't know where to hide. So they are easy prey for the eagles. And sometimes they release the tortoises. They buy the tortoises, they release in the river. And then a few weeks later, you find the shell of the tortoise. Because it's not used to that place, it doesn't know how to find food in that place, and the place is so rocky, and it's not the right place to release it. Tortoises, they need a place where there's a lot of plant life, shelter. There's no plant life there. At the time I was staying in Seattle, they released one tortoise in the garden, thinking it would be safe in the garden. A few days later, I smelled it, corpse. Got killed by a badger. So a lot of the times, liberation is not practical. Of course, if you see somebody about to slaughter a sikachua, iguana or something, you can buy and liberate it. So that is, and the last one is meat eating. A lot of people think that it is cruel to eat meat, but the Buddha did not encourage vegetarianism because the Buddha was very practical. In fact, one of his disciples, Devadatta, asked the Buddha to make a rule so that all monks should only eat vegetarian food, and the Buddha said no. The Buddha said, meat that has 3 conditions is pure. If you do not see, you do not hear, and you do not suspect that the animal was purposely killed for you, then there's no evil karma in eating that meat. Because when we eat the meat, for example, you go to the market and you buy pork, it's already slaughtered, or fish already dead. You are actually not causing the death of those animals. But a lot of people think because we eat meat, then people slaughter more animals. But they fail to realize that even if the whole world became vegetarians, there will still be slaughter of animals, killing of animals. Because, for example, now dogs without licenses, and the government employs people to kill them, because if they multiply too much, then they will have rabies and they will bite people and all that. So the government finds it necessary. In fact, I think last year in China there was a place where the dogs were biting people and they had to shoot all the dogs. So the same with other animals. If we allow them to multiply. They'll multiply so fast that they'll be eating all the crops and walking on the streets and all that. So they will still be eliminated. So only thing is the world itself is cruel. We cannot change the fact that the world is cruel. That's why the Buddha said the world is dukkha. In fact, in the Bible says that the world is cruel. So the Buddha only told us to be careful not to have the direct karma of killing. The indirect karma we cannot help. Even staying in a house, you are contributing to more housing estates being created. When they want to create a housing estate, they have to bulldoze the land, clear the land. A lot of animals die. A lot of animals cannot survive. Because you want to use electricity, government builds dams. When they build dams, the river is flooded, a lot of animals die. Same, because you want to use household items, then factories are made, and they have to clear the forests, etc. Now this argument that because we eat animals, more animals are slaughtered. If that is valid, then we cannot sit in cars, we cannot drive cars, because according to statistics, every day 2,000 human beings are killed on the roads every day, and countless animals. So if we make more cars and more vehicles, more people will be killed, right? So are you contributing the death to more people? In fact, I thought of one simile. If there's a serial killer and then around, and he has killed many people, and then all the people in the town be afraid to go out at night, and they ask the police to catch the man. So after much investigation, that man is caught, then he's tried, and then sentenced to death, and then he's hanged, for example. Now, this man has to die, okay? Who has the biggest evil karma? If you really think about it, it's actually the hangman. The hangman who actually hangs him. The second is the judge. Of course, the hangman can say, I'm only cari makan to feed my wife and children. I didn't sentence him to death. The judge sentenced him to death. And then the judge will say, I only sentenced only, I didn't do the act. You were the one who did the act. So the second most evil karma is the judge. Policeman, no evil karma. How about you? Actually, he has to die because of all of you, right? To safeguard all of you, he has to die. So you all got sin. Ultimately, it's for all of you that he has to die. But you have no evil karma, even though you contribute to his death. So in the same way, when an animal is killed to feed human beings, the most evil karma is the person who does the slaughter. The person who slaughters the chicken or slaughters the pig, etc. The second most evil karma is the person who rears the animal to be slaughtered. Because from the beginning, he already has this idea in mind to sell it to be slaughtered, right? But the person who eats the slaughtered meat has no evil karma. In the same way. So it's a very good simile. So I shall end here.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.